Hi, I'm Brad Dacus.
And I'm Kyle Campbell.
Welcome to Faith and Law.
We're breaking down political and legal issues of the day through a biblical lens.
Welcome to Faith and Law. I'm Brad Dacus, president and founder of the Pacific Justice Institute. Without question, we have great attacks on parents and the rights of parents over their children. One of these terrible attacks, folks, happens to deal with the state of California and what the state of California did in terms of passing a law, AB 495, which goes out of its way to attack the rights and protections of children and the rights of parents over their children. Now, let me give you a little backdrop of this. This legislation allows a stranger potentially to come into a public school and take children from a family that they don't even know. Let's take a look at this trending viral video.
This is not fear-mongering. I'm not being hyperbolic. It's stated right here in the caretaker's affidavit that I printed for you, which I pulled directly from the bill. Line 6 allows this transfer of parental rights without even having to speak to the parent. The author claims AB 495 is about giving immigrant families the agency to choose the safety plan that works, that preserves family unity. Where is the parental designation? Their signature at the bottom here is not required. She's co-opting a term non-relative family member from the foster care and dependency probate systems, but without any of the procedural guardrails. No background checks, no interviews, no home visits, no fingerprinting, parental involvement, or civil, criminal, or professional liability if the child is harmed. Just 100% blanket protection for any adult seeking to abuse any vulnerable child, because this is not limited to immigrant children. This applies to every single child in the state. Our children deserve to be protected through proper legal channels that currently exist, that have safeguards, and not just shortcuts that enable exploitation. We appreciate the author's intentions, but these unintended consequences are terrifying and they're unavoidable. We have systems and agencies in place that track and ensure children are safe and return to their parents while respecting parental rights. We can and must support immigrant families with solutions that don't gamble children's lives. Please vote no on AB 495. I remain committed and offer my services to the Assemblywoman free of charge to help find solutions that work and actually achieve her goals. Thank you.
Well, folks, this was one of many testimonies given before the state legislature before this became law. It did become law, and it was signed into law by Governor Gray Davis. Now, here's the caveat. Because of this outcry and because of things that we did at Pacific Justice Institute to spell out specifically in writing, in detail, what the problems were with regard to this legislation, some changes were made at the last minute. So I'm going to sort of fill you in on this. So there's still some changes, positive, but there's still some real ugly stuff. So the changes that were made is, it says, look, it can't be a non-relative. It has to be a relative who lived in the family, at and resided with the family. Only that person can come and take the child. So it's good that not just any stranger per se can come and take the child based on the new language per se. Practically speaking, though, here's the problem. What does the person have to do to show that they're a relative, that they live with the family? Well, here's what they do. They print out an affidavit that they print out themselves. They don't go to a courthouse. They just print it out themselves. And then they sign it. It's not notarized. And it says, I'm so-and-so, I'm a relative, I live with the family, the parents have been removed for deportation or for prison or for medical reasons, whatever, and I'm here to take the children to care for the children. So here's the problem with that. They make the statement, and there's no requirement for ID. So no identification is necessary. In fact, The law doesn't even require this person to state the address or where they're taking the children to. So as we connect these dots, we see that this is actually still very, very dangerous, the way it's worded right now. And this is mandatory on all school districts all across the state of California. A stranger can come in, a pedophile, a human trafficker, can come in, issue this affidavit, lying, saying they're a relative, they live with the family, the parents were taken, they're here to take them, and the school district would then have to give the kids, Johnny and Susie, first grade, third grade, to this stranger who can then take them and do who knows what. Here's the fix, and here's the good news. The good news is that in the legislation it says, it was added, that school districts may add additional procedures, protocol, as they see fit. Meaning, school districts, as a matter of policy, can say, you know what, okay, we'll comply with this, here's your affidavit, but we want to see your identification. We want to see your address. We want to see evidence that you lived with that family. So this is very valuable for school districts. Now, are school districts going to know what to adopt? Well, we at Pacific Justice Institute made it really, really easy for them because we've already put together the language that they need to adopt for free for every school district in the state of California. So that's really good news. I have more good news. Parents don't have to wait for school districts to adopt this policy that we've drafted. We have on our website, language on our website that you can download as a parent, and you can fill it out, and in there state exactly who can take your children in emergency situations. Priority number 1, if they're not available, then priority number 2, if they're not available, priority number 3. Say up to 5 different people that you trust in emergency situations. And it says very clearly, our children may not be given to anyone in emergency situations or otherwise without our explicit designation. Otherwise, only these people on this list can take the children in emergency situations. That is available right now on our website, pji.org. It's free. It's right there. It's available. Parents need to take advantage of this. Now, I like to say that the majority of school districts out there, the overall majority of them are adopting the proper language to make sure that strangers just can't come in with an affidavit and lie and take kids. The information that I've received to date is that most school districts still haven't moved on this. What does that mean? That means that parents need to move on this. If they still have their children in public schools, for whatever reason, they need to protect their kids. It's a very valuable resource. But guess what? I've got some more good news for you. We have another valuable resource, and it's an opt-out form that's been updated since the Supreme Court just recently came down with a ruling saying that parents have a right, get this, to opt their children out of anything, any curriculum, any outside speakers that violate the religious beliefs and moral convictions of the family, period. Now, California, in states like California, blue states, they'll often say, well, sex education, yeah, parents can opt out of, but not LGBTQ propaganda. Oh, no. No. You can't opt out of that. Well, this court decision trumps that. Pardon the pun, but trumps it. It's because of the President Trump's nominees, the Supreme Court, is why we have this wonderful decision saying that parents can opt their kids out of anything, even if you've been told before by your school district or information about the state saying this is what the state law is. Baloney. Not anymore. You can protect your children to the max possible, to the extent which I have been dreaming of. You know, we've drafted legislation for Congress to pass something like this. An executive order to be signed on something like, guess what? We don't have to, because now the Supreme Court is taking care of it. So the only thing that's remaining is for you, the parent, to do something about it, for you to take advantage of it. On our website, pji.org. Download it, Check the boxes, sign it, give it to your school. And we state exactly what to do. So we make it really easy. Now, some of you may be saying to yourselves, well, we don't have kids anymore. Oh, great. All right, gotcha. You're empty nesters. I get that. But there's probably people in your church that have kids that attend public schools. Maybe you're a grandparent. You say, I don't have kids anymore. Well, you have grandkids. Download it. Send it to your kids so that they can protect your grandkids. We need to be very proactive on this. Silence is too deadly. It's too dangerous. So when we see people around us that could be affected, we need to be proactive. So I encourage all of you out there right now to make a point and download this information. The information for the opt-out, the information to protect your kids if you're in California regarding AB 495. But get the information, download it, and take advantage of it. Now, some of you are saying, well, I'm safe though. I'm in a red state. I'm in Texas. That's where angels go for vacation. Well, reality is not all school districts are the same in the state of Texas or Tennessee or Florida or Iowa. The fact is some school districts are school districts that do not respect the rights of parents. So wherever you live, you need to take advantage of these customized opt-out forms that we've prepared for all 50 states. And in particular, if you're in the state of California, you also want to take advantage of what we specifically prepared to combat AB 495, which is an egregious danger and atrocity potentially to children and their safety and welfare in the state of California. The good news is we don't have to panic. We've got the legal tools. The question is, are we going to take advantage of them? Are we going to use them? Folks, our children are simply too important. What would Jesus do? I know Jesus. The Jesus I know loves the children. He cares about the children, as I'm sure you do too. So let's get involved. Let's make a difference. And let's protect our children.
Folks, I've got some big news. We have a matching gift campaign going on right now. We're going to be able to match dollar for dollar up to $500,000 in total, your gift to PJI. It could be a one-time gift, or it could be a new monthly contribution. It'll be matched dollar for dollar, not for 1 month, but for 12 months. Now, what if you're already a monthly donor? Well, any increase in that monthly support is going to be matched dollar for dollar up to $500,000. Folks, this is huge, and this is what we need to move forward with the momentum that we have to make a big difference for you and your families and your churches and your freedoms in 2026. Let's take advantage of this opportunity, and thank you very much for your support.
Imagine living in a world where your right to believe, worship, and live out your faith is under constant threat, where your convictions are challenged simply because of who you are. For many Americans, that's reality. Every day, people face exclusion, discrimination, and intimidation just for living out their faith. That's why PJI exists, to stand with those who can't stand alone, to defend the rights of families, churches, students, and businesses under attack for their beliefs, to be a voice for the voiceless. We're fighting for a nation where faith doesn't have to be hidden, where no one has to choose between their beliefs and their livelihood. But we can't do it without you. Your gift today helps us keep up the fight for freedom, for justice, for faith.
If fairness is more than policy, if it's moral, how should institutions respond to conflicting pressures? We've been watching with as much interest as concern over young female athletes trying to navigate a world in which biological boys, built very differently when it comes to athletic ability, have been allowed to compete against them in just about every sport. This has caused turmoil, upset, disappointment, and confusion as some young girls have even been subjected to the invasion of fully intact boys into their locker rooms and private changing spaces. We all know Riley Gaines' story and how traumatizing it was to see a fully biological male going by Leah Thomas and claiming to be a trans female, but with all his male parts, stripping naked in front of her and her fellow female teammates in locker rooms before and after swim meets. We have laws in this country about indecent exposure and what's appropriate for minors to see and experience. We'll put ratings on movies and disallow teens into an R-rated film, but somehow there's now confusion over forcing young girls to watch a boy undress in front of them and forcing them to change in front of him. This has led to the opposite of what feminism has aimed to accomplish over the last 40 years, and it's set women and girls back, scarring and traumatizing them, hindering them from athletic accomplishment, goals, scholarships, and opportunities, and teaching them that boys transitioning or claiming to be trans are more valuable and important than they are. The Trump administration has reaffirmed what male and female are, and the president has signed executive orders on this issue, including the keeping men out of women's sports order. It doesn't get a lot clearer than that, and biology doesn't get a lot clearer than the over 6,000 genetic marker differences between someone with XX chromosomes and someone with XY chromosomes. So, athletic fairness must align with biological reality to preserve equity, if equity is really the goal. Religious and faith-based institutions often find themselves in the crosshairs of cultural battles over identity. We want to be compassionate and show the love of Christ to everyone, and we have sympathy for people genuinely experiencing gender confusion or going through difficult puberty. But being a believer, a follower of Christ, means confronting sin, not coddling it. Being clear on right versus wrong, especially in a situation in which it's clear someone's manipulating the system for an unfair advantage. Our nation is groaning through this season. Some agencies, organizations, and universities are still struggling with whether to comply with the Trump administration and Title IX or succumb to woke cultural pressure, and the result is a lot of back and forth on official policies. Protecting girls in girls' sports is fair and equitable. Penn's shift shows that pressure, policy review, and public accountability can lead to changes that respect both law and fairness. Let's keep front of mind what the Bible tells us in Micah 6:8. Act justly, love mercy, walk humbly with your God. And also in Romans 13:1, it says, let everyone be subject to the governing authorities. For there's no authority except that which God has established. The authorities that exist have been established by God. And I'll leave you with this verse, which I know helps to ground me when we're talking about issues like this that can tend to lure us from that grounding in biblical firmness. Brothers, if anyone is caught in any transgression, you who are spiritual should restore him in a spirit of gentleness. Keep watch on yourself, lest you too be tempted. That's from Galatians. So friends, be grounded in what you know to be true and right.
Thank you, Kyle, for that wonderful deep dive. Folks, the reality is we have a lot of challenges facing our nation and specifically facing our families. We have people in our society that do not believe in the institution of the family at all, don't believe in parental rights, that they believe that the state, that the government knows what's best. You know, this isn't really new, folks. In fact, you can bring this all the way back to President Woodrow Wilson, who looked at the laws of nature and nature's God and institutions derived therefrom as antiquated, as primitive. He saw something much different, something much more progressive, that we as a society can basically scrap the Constitution, scrap the, quote, laws of nature, and instead rise to a higher level of existence, of understanding. That was way back with President Woodrow Wilson, near the turn of the 1900s. This attitude has taken root in much of our society. FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, he also was an extension of this attitude that the government knows what's best, and it doesn't need to be bridled by the Constitution of the United States. And then, of course, we saw it manifest with the new Great Society of Lyndon B. Johnson, and what he was trying to push and promote, which implicitly tore the family unit, particularly in the inner cities, in the lower income, in the minority community. We have so many children today born without even knowing who their dad is. And they may have a number of siblings who have different dads that look different, and the mom's doesn't even know necessarily. This hasn't always been this way in the United States. This is a part of that philosophy and attitude and ideology that wants to ignore the laws of nature and nature's God, ignore what God created, specifically the institution of the family, a man and a woman getting married and having children and raising those children up together, instead vying for other things that are no longer bound by these traditions, these historical constructs, if you will. And with that, we have where we are today. A society, and to some degree, governments, like the state of California and the state of New York, that are committed to undermining the rights of parents. The good news is that parents have rights. And that's what we do at Pacific Justice Institute, is we're here to defend the rights that you have, given by God and recognized by long-established case law. Pierce versus Society of Sisters, Myers v. Nebraska, Wisconsin v. Yoder. This is case law back from the 1920s, where the Supreme Court made it very clear parents have a recognized fundamental right over the education, upbringing, health, welfare, religious, moral instruction of their children, and not the government. We're seeing this manifest itself in a number of different ways. For example, when the pandemic hit, we had many in our society, government institutions and the prior administrations saying, oh no, everyone has to be vaccinated. Children have to be vaccinated, even if parents don't want their children vaccinated. Even if parents saw the first child going to immediate autism. Oh no, the next child still needs to be vaccinated. So we've seen it manifest in terms of medically. We've seen it manifest in terms also educationally, where there are those in the government fed on by the teachers' unions to say, no, we want to get rid of charter schools. We want to get rid of private schools. We want to regulate them. In fact, we want to get rid of homeschooling as well. That's why we at Pacific Justice Institute are big on that front as well, as defending the rights of parents when it comes to attempts to try to compel them to have their children in public government schools. You know, in the state of New Jersey, right now, as we speak, they are legislating to require that homeschoolers have to have outside third parties come in and validate what they're doing. That homeschoolers have to pay for these outside people to come in and inspect their home, inspect their children, inspect their education, validate, etc. Why does the government feel like they have that right to do that? Homeschooling has proven itself to be superior, not parallel to public education, superior. Now, it's not only superior to public education and charter schools, but actually statistically, they're even more successful than kids in private schools. Not just, I say successfully, say, what do you mean? Academically, in terms of morally, even in terms of social development. Children from homeschools advance faster in corporate settings, are promoted faster than those from private schools and those from public schools. This is what the facts show. And yet the government wants to come in and control our children in this area of education and compel them to do that. But you know what gets even worse? It's not just in terms of health issues. It's not just in terms of education. It's also in terms of the moral and spiritual upbringing of our children. Do you know, right now, we at Pacific Justice Institute are defending a private Christian preschool in San Diego County that was shut down. One of the reasons it was shut down is because the kids, the 4-year-olds, were being compelled by this church-run preschool to hear to sing Bible songs and hear Bible stories. We at Pacific Justice Institute, we're representing, and this case looks like it has a good chance of going to the Supreme Court. So they're trying to control that, and they're doing it also in public schools as well. Well, I want you to know we at Pacific Justice Institute are all across the country right now taking on these battles. We have 36 offices coast to coast. Well, we want to expand that. We want to have a bigger impact in all 50 states. And there's something you can do to help us. We have a matching grant program right now. Maybe you've heard about it. Well, it's been extended till January 31st. So every dollar you give to Pacific Justice Institute this month will be matched dollar for dollar. And specifically, if you become a monthly donor, your monthly donation will be matched dollar for dollar, not just for January, but for the entire next 12 months. That's incredible. It's a great opportunity. And if you're already a monthly donor, get this. If you increase your monthly support, that amount of increased monthly support will also be matched dollar for dollar for the entire year, all 12 months. So to take advantage of that, I encourage you to go to our website, pji.org, pji.org, and we can make a real difference. We have a lot to do. We have a lot of work, but we're seeing great results. We have over 140 cases in active litigation. I think that number is going to be growing. I know it's going to be growing. And with your help, we can take on more and more cases and see greater and greater successes. Last year, we had a better than a 90% success rate in our case litigation. So we've got a great track record, and we want you to be a part of that. Join the team and help us make a huge, even bigger impact in 2026. Now, I'd like us to take a look at the Word of God because there's a lot of exhortation there. We're talking about our children here, folks. We're talking about the government, talking about attacks, legislation. Well, it says in Luke chapter 17, Jesus is talking to his disciples, and he says this. He said to his disciples in verse 1, "It is inevitable that stumbling blocks come, but woe to him through whom they come." Verse 2, "It would be better for him if a millstone were hung around his neck and he were thrown into the sea, than that he would cause one of these little ones to stumble." Be on your guard, verse 3 starts with. Bottom line, Jesus cares about our young people. And we need to be vigilant to make sure that nothing causes them to stumble and that parents have the right and ability to protect their children from all these things that are trying to attack their children. So folks, remember this. No matter how great the struggle, no matter how great the challenge, always, always keep the faith.